Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast, episode 127, Repechaje preview, Wednesday night football. We got another episode. We got to talk about all things Club Leon in English with my compañeros Carlos and Javier. Cari is out tonight. I am filling in for her with the intro. Carlos filling in as the host. Guys, how are we feeling tonight?
Good. Anxious. I think anxious is the word right about
Yeah.
now.
And yeah, just look, man, I'm gonna turn 30 in November. I just want to have, I don't want to stress myself out. Baseball and football and all these things going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Just,
stuff going on
yeah,
right
I
now.
just don't want to be sad on Monday. That's all I gotta say. I gotta work, and anímicamente I need to be al 100. So I guess the word is just I guess anxious, Carlos. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the word. I just
anxious,
want it
right?
to be over with at this point. But enjoy it. Just enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling very anxious too. I'm trying not to think about everything that's going down this weekend. I counted them like it could be as many as six or maybe even seven extremely high leverage games that I'm going to be having to watch this weekend across all leagues and all the teams that I follow. But yeah, Mariners. I'm repping right here just because there's no way I can. I mean, no offense to Club Leon right now, but Mariners just made the playoffs for the first time in 21 years.
21 years.
So it was the longest playoff drought in North America, in the four major North American sports leagues, and it just ended. And so we don't even us fans, we don't really know what to do with ourselves. Those of us been following a long time.
Yeah.
But just talking about Liga MX and Club Leon, just along those terms, I feel kind of strange because it's only it's October 6th and the season is over. The Repechaje is about to start. I don't feel like the season had the rhythm and the pace that it deserved, the build-up that it deserved to get to its apex. I mean, I feel like the season is when you're used to a certain length of a season, it goes a certain length of time, and you're used to that build-up, and it gets to a certain point. And right now, in a normal season, we'd only be at what? We'd be at jornada 13 or something like that. We'd be
A little bit more than halfway.
We'd be a little past the halfway point, and it's completely over. And I went to the game. I went straight from the airport to the game the other day, and I was like, "Is this really match day? This is really jornada 17. This is the last day of the season." It just felt strange, and it was a strange season for that reason. It was a strange season just because of the inconsistent way that we played. Sometimes we looked amazing, other times we looked like a complete bottom feeder. We was completely inconsistent all season, and so we just don't know what. Yeah, levantando muertos. Well, that's kind of normal. I mean, they do that every.
I know, but the 0-3 with Mazatlan, I'm like, what?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you just think. I think most of us predicted we would be a home Repechaje team. I think come into the season. I know that's what I predicted. I figured like 5th or 6th place. And to think that to have gotten just one more point out of all those that we dropped in such a frustrating manner over the course of the season, just have one more point, we would be in 7th place instead of 10th. We would be the roles would be reversed. If we had held on against CRUZ when we played them in the regular season and gotten one extra point, we would be in 7th place instead of 10th. But it's 17 match days, not 16. You reap what you sow. This is where we are. This is our reality. For so many different reasons, I was hoping it would be a home Repechaje game. I wouldn't have to travel this weekend, but that's not the reality of the situation. And so, we take what we can get, and this is it. And it's only October 6th, and we've got to play for our season on Saturday. That's just the way it is.
Why it's like it doesn't feel normal because usually when it comes to aperturas, it's like and liguilla start. It's Navidad time, and it's like I'm about to go to Leon. It's like it's around a different era. So right now I'm like, man, it's in the middle of baseball season and stuff, and you could tell Mariners, I'm Padres also are going to play the Mets after a failure of a season that was last year. So I'm also like, man, both are like killer be killed games. So And yeah, I agree with you. I kind of always said it, like with Leon. I think the reality of what this season was what we see. Leon having to travel to Mexico City, we could have really easily. But then you also think about games against Pumas and how rescatábamos puntos, and then maybe it could have been like a game against Toluca or Tigres, right? I think Cruz Azul, out of those three, I think they have a better chance of clasificando, because I still think this Leon team could keep going forward. That's the thing, like, es un equipo que tiene una realidad, tiene un tope. We've seen it. Maybe if it was a regular 6 month tournament, maybe by, I don't know, December, el equipo would have desarrollado un fútbol diferente. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what we have now. Y los jugadores como están ahorita, it's lo que alcanzó. And yeah, I guess I am anxious.
But doesn't it feel like we had like mucho más equipo for a better position, better results, a better season actually as a whole? Like
en papel, sí.
Like on paper, like we're really
on
good.
paper maybe, but I mean, we were all measuring our expectations even so at the beginning of the season, just because bringing in a new coach who does not know the league, didn't know any of these players. I mean, he knew Byron Castillo as a rival in the Ecuadorian League. That was about it. Like, he doesn't really know. He didn't have firsthand experience with any of these players. And that's kind of been the MO bringing in coaches the last few hires. But we were like, the players are there, but how long is it going to take to really fall into place? And then, of course, we get that dramatic last-second win that Javier and I were present for on match day 1 in San Luis, and maybe we're like, maybe it's not going to take as long as we thought. And then they get that dramatic come-from-behind win against Pumas in match day 2, and it's like, okay, this team never quits. They never stop fighting, and they're going to be in every match. Maybe we even underestimated them. Maybe there's no limit to how far this team can go.
Puebla Chivas.
And then eventually, this team kind of I think it kind of probably hit its first season ceiling. That match against Monterrey, I would say, that blowout at Monterrey, they hit a wall, and after that, it was never quite the same. There were some really, really bright spots still after that. Obviously, the win at Tigres was probably the highlight of the season in the midst of some not great play, I would say.
Yeah.
Because that was not expected. Like, if you ever asked me what I thought about that, after the Monterrey blowout, and I was just kind of calculating, well, we're probably going to beat this team. We're definitely going to beat Mazatlan, we're not going to beat.
Right.
It was
doing
the opposite.
If you're doing a full season preview and you're going match by match and you're picking like win, loss, draw before the season even starts, you definitely would not have picked a win for that match. And just the way it happened and the way they held on that they showed, and I mean, that was a highlight of the season, and it came at a moment of the season where the play you would not say was particularly stellar. Whereas coming into that Monterrey match, they'd been playing pretty well up until then, and they just got boat raced. And after that, it was like, okay, now we've seen what the limitations of this team really are, and maybe they could have done a little bit more to bolster the roster at a few positions.
Well, now that the season's over, the regular season, how do we grade it? What do you guys think about it? I mean, just the regular season itself. Like, did we meet expectations? Did we surpass them, or were we like under?
So that's the thing. My expectations are probably like up there. If they would have won against Tijuana and they would have clinched that 7th place, that would have been my expectation, 7th, 6th, or 5th. Especially
a home Repechaje game. Any home Repechaje game. I thought that was probably the ceiling for this team at the beginning of the season.
Especially after the Monterrey loss. Even after the Monterrey loss, and then I still felt like they could bounce back when they were losing to Pachuca and Santos. I'm like, well, we still got some teams in the end that, like, if we beat them, they can get this rhythm, and then, eventually we will get that home Repechaje.
So 10th place is underwhelming. It's you didn't meet expectations.
Yeah.
Well, there's the way there's one way you can look at it where it's definitely underwhelming, but then you look back to this past season where we weren't even one of the top 12 teams in the league, which for an institution like Club Leon is unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
They improved upon that. They had the Repechaje clinched with 2 matches to go. You know, I'd say the fact that it's an improvement upon last season with a new coach. I mean, I think some would look at that as a success. I'm kind of on the fence as to whether it's a success or not. I think if they can go into the Azteca and knock off CRUZ AZUL, especially if they do it convincingly, then I know we're just talking regular season, but I think just the way the format of our league, I don't think you can separate them like that. I think I think if they go win and win, then it's only one more, but I think by then, for that, then you could really start talking about it in terms of definitely a successful season, even if they don't get out of cuartos. I think making the last 8 would be a success.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it saves the season.
That was my vision. Even when we were predicting, I forget what game against, I think CRUZ AZUL game, and I was saying like, I always want to see León campeón, but I think after everything that I was just analyzing from the San Luis game to the Pumas, the comeback, the Puebla game, I felt we could have actually won. Con penal no los marcaron. The Chivas game was more of I didn't like how that felt. I felt como que Chivas and Pumas weren't teams that were supposed to give us that kind of a problem, so I couldn't imagine when we face America or Monterrey. The America game, is maquillado. Like a lot of the times, a lot of the games, I felt like America, like they were they were traveling a lot. I think they lost to Atlas too, that same week when they were playing León and Atlas. But the Monterrey, that was something where I was like, man, maybe this is our reality where we're not going to be like if any team like Monterrey just proved to me that okay, that's a team that's probably in the run for a lo mejor campeonar.
Yeah.
With Mazatlan, it was just incredibly disappointing because it was just kind of like, are we even gonna qualify how I thought in el repechaje, home repechaje? Because even top 4 at that point was like, yeah, I don't think we're playing anywhere near as Santos, Monterrey. Pachuca didn't start playing better until I think, and I don't want to prop them up that much, but cuando llegó Chofis, like around that time, I remember when he came and he scored, that's when they were just winning.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just kind of like a team where I thought it was just gonna, they were gonna have a good tournament, qualify top 4, but I don't think they were like para campeonar.
Yeah.
All of this being said, guys, I think if they actually go to, and look, I always feel sometimes, and CRUZ AZUL is a funny team in itself in that sense too, where I feel León en casa a veces la gente lo presiona y a lo mejor afuera como un Azteca se pueden crecer de una manera o de otra, and maybe that could get to that pressure for them.
This is why I'm very like optimistic about this Saturday's game because I feel like these guys show up in big moments. Like when we played America, these guys showed up. Like it was probably the best game of the season.
Cholos de Mazatlán. Yeah.
And then with teams that have been doing horribly, like Cholos, we just kind of like, whatever. We already made it. No big deal. But speaking about Cholos, let's talk about this game. Like Lou, you were there. What was it like?
Yeah.
What was the atmosphere like?
Louis.
I think all of the home games since very early on in the season, well, less than halfway through the season when the team was really starting to struggle, and they've had 2 por 1. All the tickets have been 2 for 1 in the stadium, trying to bring the fans back, and gradually I think it's really been working. I think it was a good crowd.
Oh, it showed. It definitely showed, and I was surprised. And
it was a good crowd against Xolos. The crowd was into it. I wish the team had responded a little bit better. I was super tired. I flew directly from Chicago to León.
All that.
Got off the plane. Had somebody come pick me up, and we went directly to the stadium. I picked me up. He picked me up around 6:15. The match was at 8.
You still had your luggage on you?
No, I found a place to drop off my luggage before, but yeah, basically right to the stadium. So I was amped. In the back of my head, I was kind of like, in a way, we're playing with house money here. This is not like match day 17 against Toluca, where we needed to win just to make a repechaje. It was not going to be. I knew it was not going to be like that, but I still felt like there was quite a bit on the line. Like I feel like
for sure, La Directiva had a lot of. Iban a ganar mucho if the game would have been in León.
Right, especially if it were against Chivas. Like
think about that.
The Directiva stood to. Yeah, they did. So I'm sure they weren't happy about that. That could cost us a refuerzo. You just never know.
Exactly.
You never know what these kind of things mean. I was hoping the team would come out and play as though there was something on the line, which technically, depending on how you look at it, there wasn't. But for me, there was. I think for the fans felt that there was. And they just didn't. Defensively, they were not up to the task. Defensively, we're not that kind of team that can take a single play off defensively, because we're not particularly skilled or technical on that end of the pitch. Like, we cannot take a single play off. We cannot lose one iota of intensity on that end of the pitch. And they didn't play like they were aware of that. It was disappointing. And I don't know, I guess it feels better not to lose to Xolos at home, but to draw. But the result made no difference either way, whether it was a draw or a loss. So getting the draw at the end, I mean, good for Plátano to get that goal, to get the result, to get the point for the team there at the very end. I mean, I guess it looks a little better to be on 22 with two other teams as opposed to 21, 1 point behind them. But just getting that last minute draw, just the effect of it felt completely lost on me, just because it meant absolutely nothing. We needed the only thing that could have helped us was the win, and it didn't seem like. I mean, unless this is part of their grand plan to get a technically easier opponent and perhaps an easier environment.
I don't know. What I wanted my Padres to do. I can't all the Giants games so they could face the Cardinals, not face the Mets. But anyway,
I kind of wanted the Mariners to get that 6th spot too, so they play Cleveland instead of Toronto. But I don't think it was that kind of situation. I don't think they were not trying to. I don't think they were trying to manipulate any results.
No,
I just think they didn't. I just think they didn't play well enough to get the win against a far inferior opponent. I mean, we've seen that many times with this team.
Yeah, they weren't.
But to their credit, the last few muertos that they played against, they did not levantar. I mean, like they are known for being a levantamuertos, but
Cholo was about to resurrect, and then Plátano was like, no, man, and then it was like, yeah.
Exactly.
Because in my head,
Cholos wasn't exactly on the same level of muerto. They actually theoretically,
bro, they're like on zombie. They're like
but theoretically with a win,
dancing.
Theoretically, if Xolos had won this game, they had a slim chance of making the repechaje. It's important to keep that in mind.
They had to be like 5 or 6-0, right? It would have been.
I don't know what the goal difference was. Well, and depending on.
En tus más locos sueños, Xolos van a golear en el León. When I agree with you, Louis. I felt that the players should have caught eye of that el estadio lleno, that and I'm pretty sure la directivas, I know some players are smart enough to understand that it's way more beneficial for them to win this game so they can play at home, and also for the financial aspects of the fact that they were going to get all this money, not only por las entradas, por transmitir el partido, right? And then against Chivas, imagine the ratings. So all that being said, I think it was more the players, doing another situation como pasó contra Cruz Azul, where they lost in the last seconds of the game. Nomás que como aquí, Plátano dijo no way, no vamos a levantar estos Cholos, and it's a good thing because I don't want Cholos ever to have that. Look, my dad, and you were watching the game. I think he was pissed. He got so mad he turned off the TV. I'm like, hey, what the heck? We can still
yeah.
But the thing is that we're from San Diego. He has family in Tijuana, and we get it. We get the. So we understand, like if like I said, and we saw an encuesta no hace mucho on my Twitter because I really am. And Carlos, you were talking about the Celaya thing, and it's something that really interests me because I always keep thinking about how León should have you know how there's instituciones that they say estos partidos son los tres partidos que durante el torneo you can't lose, and I mean I think León should understand some games are like the players should get that through their heads, and you don't want to have players that say it's otro partido nomás. Sure, you could think like that, just you don't have that pressure on you, but yeah, that's also a team where I just felt like, man, you know, like I was surprised to see how much they over. I mean, America wasn't even top 3 in my eyes. I always kept saying it was Chivas and Tigres, but the Cholos, I had them like a little more lower. But I always said that when you go to a game in Tijuana and you see all the people that go for León from all over the country, and they just go, and it does feel kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie, and it gives it a different flavor. So, and then you can't deny la rivalidad cuando estaban en segunda, and then also the fact that for them they do consider León like I think their number 1 rival, because otherwise I don't know who is their number 1 rival, but I know so that too. They always say that's, and I would always be like, "What? You're like top 7." You know, I think Unión de Curtidores today is still more of a rival than you guys, and they're dead. They're más muerto que muerto. So yeah.
What you guys think about the refereeing? There was some very interesting refereeing, a lot of questionable calls. Louis, you were there, so I don't know. You didn't have access to like the VAR, the replays like we did. But once you got home, you watched the replays.
Yeah, I shouldn't have
spoken about this too.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have watched the replays because I just got it just made me really upset, especially the first one.
Yeah,
especially the first one. I think there's a real argument to be made that Davila is not offside on that play.
So so even if he was offside, like how many passes do you have to lose possession in order for the offside not to get called if you potentially score a goal?
There should be a rule, man. There should be
what if you maintain possession, pass it like 50 more times?
Yeah,
and then you score a goal like that.
Yeah, I think
it doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm curious. Like, if say Davila passes the ball back to Barreiro, instead of shooting, he like makes another pass and then it goes out of bounds. But it's like 30 seconds later. Do they bother raising the flag? I don't think they do. They
also what's kind of weird is like this should only be kind of really used for like si entró el balón or no. Like I just feel like fue un goal, and they were like, all right, go back a minute and then check if anything was, because it was like, you know, like the referee, the Línea never did like no one ever even had, no one in the stadium ever had a feeling it was fuera de lugar, you know. So it's kind of weird that after a couple of plays and then they found the take, look, and it's like it's like super laser. It's kind of like just it's too close for you to be like.
Well, that's the thing. It's too close. This one, for me, was way, way, way too close to overturn the call on the pitch.
Okay. Was it the right call, yes or no?
Look, if it was against us, maybe in a situation like Vega, in instantes importantes, you know, yeah, okay, right call.
I'm going to say, I don't know if I'm going to say definitively if it was or not. I don't think there was a definitive replay, a definitive angle to say whether it was or not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the call on the pitch should have stood.
Yeah.
I just feel in the spirit of this beautiful game that when we were younger, we all fell in love with. I think they should just let it, man. Look at Barreiro. Look how he celebrated. That was beautiful, especially un jugador que I don't even think he ever in his wildest dream thought he could, you know. ¿Por qué le pegó doy? I don't know, but that's kind of cool that we know he has that in his arsenal. Something that Leo needs to really aprovechar porque como que no les gustan tirar de media distancia. Something that, you know.
Dude, back in the day, we were like, we were
they were known for that.
Gallito, Chapito,
back when Chapo actually.
Elias Hernandez. Like these guys were mid
Urbano, you know, you could keep going, and it was like and maybe it was the técnicos gustos, maybe it was something that Matosas really, because I know Matosas was really about explotando the wings, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure he was always thinking about, because Aris, everybody le pegaban bien de media distancia. I don't know. Today it just feels like they want to run in with the ball all the way, and it's kind of like
exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
but that call is just it was too close. I think for it.
Too close.
Yeah, it was like I think it was if it's a golazo, come on, man. Like,
well, I mean,
you must not have a heart. Like, this guy's a robot.
These are not the kind of moments. These are not the kind of moments that VR was created for.
No,
exactly. It's just not. And frankly, again, Carlos, we can't say whether it was the right call or not. It was too close. It was too close to tell, and when it's too close to tell, you stick with the call on the pitch. The call on the pitch was goal.
Yeah, because exactly because that's so la regla is si tienes una duda, if you have a doubt, then you can't go all the way saying, oh, it has to be like, all right, I'm gonna leave it there.
In MLS, when they say it, they always bring in the terms clear and obvious. There was nothing about that was clear and obvious to overturn the call.
Yeah, because you have to. It's like reasonable. It's like think about it in terms of like law and stuff. When you go to like if you really, yeah, there was no like concrete evidence out of, it wasn't like the hand of God. Like, okay, yeah, that could have been overturned, of course. And I think this VAR thing is really created for stuff like that, not para quitar golazos, especially if it was like, if it would have been a clear fuera de lugar, since of course we wouldn't even be having this conversation. But I think this conversation is being done maybe, but even by other people, because they're saying, what if this happens to your team? Where it's like, come on, this is too much. Like,
okay.
This is kind of like those penales that like, I mean, como dijo una vez Louis, el VAR gives and takes. But sometimes, like I'm saying, like a lot of the times it's kind of like se apoyan mucho al VAR. And going back to lo de Santander y el arbitraje, I know I said a lot of things, and the Irapuato thing is just a joke. I just think he's really bad. He could have been born in Mars. He's just a really bad árbitro que tuvo que apoyar mucho en el VAR, and even the people in el VAR no le ayudaban ni nada.
Yeah,
it was like
it
was all a mess.
Well,
it was just a mess.
Well, there were more calls that were like mind-boggling. Like there was a penal against
even
Leon,
for the other side. It was
even
for
Cholos,
bad. Yeah, they were bad for both sides. Yeah,
so like
it wasn't just one-sided.
It was such a bad officiated game that like I said, it was unbearable to watch at halftime, because I was like, why are there so many calls? Santander es un referee
protagonista.
Es mundialista. Like he represents Mexico when in un mundial, really? And like, exactly, that was my reaction. Really?
Are you serious? Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I think I was watching the whole thing on TUDN, and they were all saying exactly what you're saying, Carlos, about that cómo puede ser posible que representa a México. Like, they were even having doubts if he should even be siendo árbitro en primera división. Like,
yeah.
And this has been the case all season long too with many árbitros. And I think one of the things that la Federación Mexicana should really invertir, instead of just, I don't know, wasting their money on other things, just maybe una escuela de buenos árbitros. Give them like laser eye, like maybe give them the best. Make them robots, maybe. I mean, that's what you got to do. But give them like these perfect eyes. The VAR thing is just tricky because, and I'm not trying to be all conspiratorial, but a lot of the times, televisoras, and they got all the camera angles, and if maybe the team is playing, they could choose. You know what I mean? Which, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Like if ever that could be, it's the same thing about multipropiedad. I'm not saying that los equipos que tienen dos equipos pretty much are gonna conspire amongst each other. Of course, we understand. We pertenecemos al Grupo Pachuca. One of the things that I've always hated was people saying about the final against Pachuca que fue arreglada. I'm like, why would it even be arreglada for León? It would make sense si la arreglaran por Pachuca. Like, if you're trying to compare it with América y Necaxa, right? Que los hermanos que in that season, América won because they're you guys ignorantly say el hermano mayor, right? Like el hermano mayor, el papá es so why would they fix it for León? If anything, it just looked like, because remember that game, seleccionaron dos jugadores, luego cambios, and it just looked like, oh, everything's just bad. But León, the spirit of León, eventually, I feel, is ellos saben muy bien atacar, y siempre atacan, but it's crazy. I think this is the reason why I think going to CRUZ AZUL and playing over there, not having that pressure. It's when the other team has the pressure, when they're not at home, when they're like visitantes, y se quedan atrás. It's crazy. It's just like piensa de los goles que hizo Nacho González y vos en esta final. They were just defending the majority of that game. They were one man down, and just las primeras que tuvieron en un contragolpe, y luego un tiro de esquina. It is what it is. I think León is an incredible team cuando la tiene, pero I think one of the things that I realized a long time ago is that many people study León como juegan, I think, and after that, it's kind of like they neutralize it.
Yeah.
Take the ball away.
For sure. Let's talk about this preview about this Saturday against Cruz Azul, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. your time. I'm pretty sure.
8 p.m. Utah time.
8 p.m. Utah time, 9 p.m.
Mountain
for
time.
El Fiero Viajero. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this Cruz Azul match. What do you guys expect lineup wise?
Cota. And interesting because Bellon, that was because of the cards mainly.
No, well, I think he had 8, so he would have had to pick up 2 more.
So it's interesting because when he came in, how did the back line look? Did Castillo become a left back?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know, because you had 2 lefties in there. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I believe he did. But honestly, I'd want to see. I mean, in a perfect world for me, I'd say from left to right, Castillo, Bellon.
Yeah. Okay.
Barreiro, I guess.
Not say that.
And Byron.
Because I was gonna say, how are you gonna say Osby? Because I know your backstory with that guy.
Wait, so no Osby?
Well, I know he wasn't gonna.
Why would I choose Osby over any of those 4? Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay, so who's playing there? Who's playing left back?
So Castillo will be playing left back. I've said more times than I can count on the show that is where I think he's at his best.
Okay, but let's be realistic here. What do we think is really going to come out?
That because if that's what happened when Bellon came in, I think that's what maybe is also Paiva's like ideal backline as well. Because why would that be? Who knows? Okay. It could be Osby because he's been doing it all season. But
well, I mean, listen, you're gonna have Antuna playing there, and I don't think Tecillo can keep up with Antuna. I think you might as well play Osby there because he's faster. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's a good question. But see, that's why I asked about because I remember Bellon coming in, and I didn't understand if it was because for him he's no es titular or because of the acumulación de tarjetas. That being said, then he's probably going to start it the way he did with Tijuana, or he's going to go with that fantastic lineup as well. I think the CEO is a player that maybe he is coming out of an injury, and maybe you don't want to push him like that against an Antuna que lo va a hacer correr. Entonces, that's a good question. Interesting.
What do you think about the midfield? Does Luis Montes start or does he get benched?
I feel like he's going to start just because of the stakes, and he's been there before. Like just the experience in these types of moments.
Okay.
Didn't Montes eliminó a Cruz Azul one time?
He did.
He did.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that. It was raining. It was raining or something.
It was pouring down rain. Yeah, that was the quarterfinal in the Bicampeonato season.
That was right? first and number 8 spot. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest Cruz Azuliadas. That's considered a Cruz Azuliada, and it was epic because it was against León, and it was a reminiscence of that final in '97.
Well, it was a Cruz Azuliada because it was leg 2, and they took a 2-0 lead in leg 2.
Yeah,
and coughed it up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It was in epic proportions because to me it was like I told you guys there's a maldición of the no come. I'm telling you guys, and I kept saying it for years.
Yeah. Do we go with big question? Do we go with Jefecito or do we go with Fidel Ambriz to accompany Montes? Because Jefecito's been doing a hell of a job. I think it's gone unnoticed, but he's doing a great job. But
my guess would be Jefecito.
My
guess would be Jefecito. Maybe Fidel Ambriz comes on as a sub, but my guess would be Jefecito.
Okay. Wings.
Yeah, I agree.
Mena's not been himself.
Yeah, he didn't look. Well, he had that one jugada cuando entró, hiciera una jugada de un centro mínimo con una idea,
Yeah.
I mean, that was I mean that whole second half was just a mess in general. But you're right. I don't think Mena. That's why he came in as a sub. I think
Campbell?
He is.
Yeah, I would go with Campbell.
Campbell.
Davila in the middle. False 9.
Yeah, Davila's a false 9.
Indeed. On top of
Jairo?
Do we go Jairo?
How is he? Is he okay? Like, I mean,
no, he's
okay.
Esa jugada like I said, that day I was just mad, and then when we tied, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna go to sleep. Gotta go to work. So I didn't even know what happened afterwards. I was just kind of like, man, is Jairo okay? Because I was listening to the Jackson 5 whenever I do think about the Colts player.
Yeah, he collided against the post, but he's good.
Yeah, good. Well, yeah, Jairo, because he's Jairo, you know.
Jairo, and then obviously Dillorio, right?
Yeah, Dillorio.
Yes.
Dillorio.
Nuestro goleador.
That's a good starting 11. I think the weakest link here is Montes, but like Louis said, I don't think he's going to keep him out because he's been there before.
Nah,
that's probably the only piece that scares me.
He's coming out como capitán, and I think this is a game. You know, it's going to be a game where I think Montes. I feel when it comes to these games, he hace su mejor esfuerzo. I think he knows. Think of all those players on that field. He knows his time is up. How many more can he be protagonista con este equipo? Protagonista en un partido así como Repechaje en el Azteca, being captain. Like, eventually he knows that's going to come to an end. So he needs to have I think these are the players I think about when they're retired. I think about their highlights. I think about, they got to think about having a good performance. So with Montes, I'm going to bet on that for sure. Hopefully he understands this compared to the otros jóvenes que puedan tener esa posición. And but all that being said, weakest link. I think I don't know if there's a weak link in the team. I think it's all. I think our strongest, I think, is Dillorio and Davila, and that I think cuando hay fútbol y hace algo, Pero sí, I mean, I think we need to be honest. León defendió muy mal este torneo. I think they were one of the most scored on, and so. Yeah, in general, I think like when it comes to like maybe I'm not a player, but like maybe defensively that could be our
whole defense. Our defense as a whole is our weakest link. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not because they're bad players. It's just something. Hay un funcionamiento. Maybe remember when Marquez cuando llegó, you could just tell this guy he's a real leader. Y cómo sabía cómo mantener las líneas, cómo Nacho, cómo it just. I think that's what we need. And remember you said something, Carlos, about Barreiro. And how can se pudo ser expulsado en un momento tan importante? But the Barrero que hizo, and you said he was our captain in the back line, and he was, with Bellón, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that shows lack of leadership. I'm not saying that great defensive leader no se hacen expulsar. También meten la pata fuerte. But what I mean is like there has to be some sort of lack of communication back there. If they get scored so ridiculously, like el gol que le hizo Tijuana was really bad defending.
Terrible. Louis, you're going to be there, right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there. How are tickets
for his 9,000 game?
Were you easily able to get tickets? Because I know
I was.
This season, Cruz Azul hasn't had the greatest turnout in terms of their
no,
fans.
and I don't expect them. I don't expect there to be a great turnout at this game either, even though it is a Repechaje game. I just don't feel like the Cruz Azul fans have that much confidence in their team to make the trek all the way out to the Azteca, especially such a late start, like the nightcap. I don't expect this to be.
Yeah, it's at 9 Mexico City. Your time.
I mean,
right?
I did. I jumped into the Ticketmaster portal as soon as the event started, and I got my tickets very quickly. But I don't expect there to
typical Louis.
I don't expect there to be a mad rush for tickets for this one. I expect not to see an empty stadium, but I expect to see a lot of empty seats, a lot of empty sections. That's for sure.
Do you think there'll be some turnout from fans of León going?
Oh, for sure.
Are in the city? Yeah.
Yes, I expect to see considerably more León fans. I feel like this game means a lot more León fans than it does the Cruz Azul fans. And the last time, the last one was a midweek match, and it was also Fiestas Patrias. It was midweek and it was Fiestas Patrias, so there weren't a lot of fans from either side at the stadium. I already know of several trips that are being planned by our supporters to go out there. So I do expect to see a pretty healthy León representation. I don't think we'll outnumber them by any means, but I do expect to see a pretty healthy representation.
Lo único que importa es that durante la transmisión, when I'm watching the game, que se escuche León en todo el Azteca, you can hear it in el Azteca. Because I love when you hear it sometimes.
You do.
Like, oh my God, that's so cool. Because León fans just want to be heard in otros estadios, and I think you're right. This probably means more to us because, like I said, there's something about like when we're at home, it just feels like we put our own pressure on ourselves. But when we leave and go out, it just feels como like those games in Tijuana. You know, it just feels like you have this apoyo that you weren't really like for the players. They got to see that. They got to feel like, oh look. And I know there's people that are in Mexico City that le van a León, but I think hopefully, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people because I think people are just seeing it like it's like the last game of the year, right? It's pretty much like it could be the last game of the year.
Well, it's the last game of the year for one of them for sure.
Yeah, for one of them. So I think it's October, and that's what I mean about how this Liguilla feels. It just feels like everything's going to be over, and it's barely October, and this feeling doesn't feel right. That's supposed to happen.
And then there will be no Liga MX until January of 2023.
But we have the World Cup.
We got the World Cup.
We do have the World Cup. That'll be a nice. That'll be
the Mariners who can't. And that's it because that's the only sports that matter. No, Louis, we're not going to talk about the NFL. No football talk. No. I don't care about Raiders. Why are you making me feel like this? No, look. I think the thing about the whole tournament finishing this quick, I think it's just going to be maybe like there was rumors already about un jugador de Cholos. I think he's Chileno. And
yes, Montesinos.
Yeah. The only thing that's good about this is that these rumors are going to come now and more, and then they're going to become facts instead of waiting until December.
Yeah, but the thing about this guy is like it seems like everything you hear about this kid is like everyone is interested in.
Everybody's praising
not just León. It's like Tigres is in on it, Monterrey is in on it, everyone's in on it. So it's not just León. Yes, there are rumors that León is interested, but everyone's interested.
Well, I'll take it as a good sign that the season's not even over. We're in Repechaje. We still could make a run here, but they're not satisfied, and they're already talking about refuerzos for next season. I think that's a good sign. We're a team that is used to seeing our refuerzos show up by match day 3 or 4 at the earliest. Yeah. So I think it's a good sign.
You know,
also they better go ahead.
They better what?
Also, they better understand that look, next season is also another chance of the La Conca Champions, and I think it's something that look, we won the League's Cup. I was telling Louis last night, like we really need to focus on that tournament because how is it possible that we're going to call ourselves un grande? We haven't won the most important competition in our CONCACAF region, right? And the League's Cup is amazing because we were there and it was in Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders, baby. But look, all that being said, it's not a CONCACAF Champions, and the fact that La UDG won una CONCACAF Champion in 1978 makes me feel like, come on, you know, like
we were close once.
We were close, and then also there was a time where it was just a one-off game. It was just one game against un equipo de Guatemala, and they would lose.
Yeah,
and it was just like, nah, you know what? These refuerzos, hopefully for next season, it's focusing not only on en el torneo, but on la CONCACAF Champions. Win both. Go for both. Go for both.
I was gonna say, these refuerzos, like we need to give them the benefit of the doubt, like when they come, because
before we crucify them.
Yeah, because
do you not know León?
Cuando llegó Bellón, everybody was like, "What? Who's this guy?"
Really, Bellón? They criticized him.
Di Llorio, who's this guy? Like what? You know, like all these players we got, and like look at Di Llorio, he scored 8 goals.
Well, that's because I think a lot of the
Bellón is like one of our best defenders now. Like we're surprised when he's not titular.
I feel a lot of the times, muchos de nuestros amigos que they like doing what we do too. A lot of them work in muchas televisoras and on the radio and stuff, and they love starting rumors too and venden humo, and they start saying this player is gonna come. So then these people, like, do you remember when Nacho Ambriz came and we did the same to him because los vende humos were saying Almeida and all these other. So I think it's not really the players' fault or the fans' fault, but I think it's the people that kind of stir the pot a little bit and get their expectations kind of high. But with Bellón and all these players that just came and that were didn't really have a name, I think it was that they were expecting someone con un nombre, and we got these players that didn't have a nombre, but we were surprised right away in la jornada 1 y 2 y 3 when we saw Bellón and Di Llorio.
They came in, man. They came in, made and did some damage. Yeah, so I think we should give our.
I mean, look, it's.
Y ojo que Byron con más nombre llegó.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Like, arguably,
No,
the biggest disappointment, in refuerzos this season was the biggest name, and that would be Byron. It's not that he's been bad, but I think people with his name recognition, a mundialista, so young, promising, like so skilled. I just think people expected far better from him. And frankly, the last few years, the best refuerzos that we've had have been names that were on nobody's radar before they joined. I mean, you think it's still crazy to think that most of them were brought in by Chavo Diaz, but you're talking about Tecillo, you're talking about Meneses, you're talking about who else? Mosquera. Like, these guys that came in, they were on nobody's radar, and they ended up being key factors in our most recent title. All of them.
I'm trying to think of a real good one, like a really good
Colombato.
Colombato is a good one. And that's also another thing. I think Colombato leaving the way he did, I don't know if the directiva or that hit him, like they blindsided him in a way where maybe this is why, because that, that contención, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying that maybe it would have been a hold, but maybe, could have done that difference of just having one more point. He was a player que daba garra, and he knew how to play his position a la perfección. I think he was, and he was getting better too. I think he was a player that was just gradually growing with the team. He was having an identity, and I think when you have that too, and that connection with the fans, that esa química, and I think all that makes a difference. All that energy, anímicamente, does something. So I don't know if him leaving the way he did, and then the directiva didn't even have a plan, but I really have a legit substitute for him. It's kind of like when they brought in, porque se lesionó Tecillo, and they brought in el francés.
Celestine.
Yeah, kind of like that, So I just hope that the fact that this tournament is going to end soon, it's going to give him that much more time, like never before in the history of probably toda la Liga Mexicana. It's going to give him a big chunk of time, like a real time. Like if I was just watching, I'm not even going off topic, but Jose Ramon and Alvaro Morales were going at it because of the whole Tata Martino, and then but a lot of people are saying what I've been saying too, and Jorge Campos is saying, like, look, this is a problem of 20 years. You can't just blame. It's like he leaves, and whoever's gonna come, he's the problem. He's the problem, and it's really when you don't no planifica el fútbol mexicano. Think about how Germany does things. Planifican 20 years in the future. They already have a whole system, and I think that's something that we need to look closely in the mirror and be like, oh, that's why, las cosas no funcionan. Y cuando se hay proyectos a largo plazo, we've seen León do them. We've seen them. When Matosas came, remember, he was signed by the team, but he couldn't train him for 6 months. He had to wait 6 months, but he lived in León, and that's when he was scouting. That's when he brought, cuando se llevaba Urbano y a Lobo al gimnasio, because he saw them, like, he thought, like, you guys could still put in more gym time, and you guys could still become that much better. And he just worked with them. He was, in that time, he was psychologically analyzing, Gulli, eres un animal, eres una bestia, and he believed it. And that's what caused lo que pasó. And think about it, León estuvo invicto en ese torneo de segunda división. It wasn't until the final with Correcaminos, right? But ese gol del Nacho González nos dio la esperanzas para golearlos y ascender, and that still has been one of the most happiest moments ever in the history of that city, of that team, and that institución. And I think one of the things that León should always have their mind on is remember how that happened. Grupo Pachuca analyzed lo que era León. They analyzed everything. They understood why is this team in second. They're like, this team has una plaza increíble con gente que vale. It's una plaza that shouldn't be in segunda división. They saw a possibility of just invirtiendo the right amount of time and money, and they were going to be in first division. But they had a plan. Remember, they brought Chapo. They had a whole system planning. I think after I think I want to say maybe Torrente leaving, and they brought in Chavo Diaz, and then finally they brought Nacho Ambriz. But I think after all of that, they didn't really have a plan. They didn't actually know what direction they wanted the team to go and all of that. So now we have Paiva, and I think they know what direction they want to go, but I think it was just too soon for
it's a little rocky right now.
Yeah, it was too soon for this team to work. But look, it is what it is, and we're playing Cruz Azul, and it's un partido de kill or be killed in el Azteca, and I just feel like historically León, for whatever reason, when they're afuera y con un equipo que tienen supuestamente más grandeza o más popularidad, really is what it is, se crecen. With América se crecieron. That's I have to say, con Pumas se crecieron. they rose to the moment. But with Mazatlan and Tijuana, it's like, I think even Israel Romo said it in TUDN. He was, aquí León tenemos un dicho que León es un levantamuertos. And it's funny because, like, look, think about it. We were this close of getting beat by Veracruz. If that's not the epitome of un levantamuertos, then, I don't know what is up with León con esa esencia de que, but they gotta change that altogether.
Yeah. That being said, how about we jump into prediction time?
Yes, sir.
Ready? All right, let's do it.
Prediction time!
Awesome. Everybody in the chat, if you guys are listening, drop your predictions. Anybody listening to this tomorrow, make sure to hit us up on Twitter and drop your predictions off with us. Louis, what's your prediction? Repechaje. León at Cruz Azul.
Yeah, look, we're not a team that gets shut out very often. It happened maybe 3 or 4 times this season, and that's a high number from what we're used to. We're going to find a way to score a couple of goals. I'm not concerned about that. It's going to come down to whether we can keep them out. It's going to come down to orden defensivo. It's going to come down to man marking and just little things and not taking a single play off on defense. We're going to find a way to score. It's not an excuse to take a play off on man marking. If we can do that against a Cruz Azul team that's going to be missing some players, and a Cruz Azul team that really I don't think really scares anybody. There are on the list of scariness of the 12 teams in the Liguilla/Repechaje right now. I don't think Cruz Azul will be very high on anybody's list. If we can hold down the fort defensively, we got a real shot in this game. If they take plays off and they get lackadaisical, it's going to be a real struggle. I have to hope that they're going to do that. I think we're going to pull out a 2-1. And I think, we're going to get our revenge for completely coughing it up against them a few weeks ago on that same pitch. I think we're going to get our comeuppance. I think it's going to be a 2-1. I think it's going to be a 1-1 going pretty late. And I think we're going to get the winner and send the Máquina faithful home sad, and our recorrido in this playoffs will continue. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 2-1. Hoping it goes to 2-1. What I do not want is for it to go to penalties, because we all know how León is in penalty shootouts.
Is it penalties after 90?
Yeah, it is direct penalties after 90, and that is not a scenario we want. I do not see that going well for us. I mean, if it happens and we exercise our demons in penalty shootout, that'd be great. But I don't want it to get to that point. I would prefer it to not get to that point.
If ever
so 2-1, I'm going with 2-1 León.
If ever León was going to do some sort of exorcism with their history of penalty shootouts, it would be against Cruz Azul. They're just a different team. They do not follow the norm. Like, if León would lose every other game ever in penalty shootout with Cruz Azul, they'd probably win. But that also being said, I don't want to go to penalty shootout just because the statistics haven't gone our way, guys. So you took my prediction. I said I was thinking 2-1. I was just thinking maybe 1-1 minutos finales y una cruzazuleada épica como siempre en el Azteca. I mean, I'm going for what's gonna make people go crazy on Twitter. But I feel maybe it's gonna be like, if not 2-1, that same scenario, but maybe 1-0. I don't know if it's gonna be a good game. I want León to win, obviously, but I already lost hope, you guys. You guys know me. I am a very romantic. Man. No, you guys know I'm a romantic in terms of yo quiero que mi León gane, golee y guste. Yeah. No más quiero que gane. No quiero que va a gustarme sus formas or who knows, maybe they're gonna shut me up and van a jugar, lo que Barreiro. Like, if that was
I hear that, Javier. But even that the Liguilla, the Repechaje and the Liguilla is survive in advance.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't even look. You guys remember that run with León, with Matosas, los golazos que le metieron a Morelia, al Santos, all the way, los goles del Gallito Vázquez. That's all I'm saying. I know I'm not gonna see that. I know, Louis. I know. I already said I already lost hope. a long time ago, I told you guys, I feel like maybe next season this team is going to play up to the players that they have, because they should be having el yoga bonito. They should be playing a little more, and they have, you see, they try doing those tacos, Campbell, he's like, trying to do una de más and stuff. Pero no hay sincronicía. There's no there's no like this synergy or whatever, like this connection yet. And I think that's only, that only grows when the more you play together, the more So that's why I'm like, it's just too soon to me to see something that I want to see. Because when I fell in love with this sport, it wasn't because of resultados. It was just because I soy hincha de la jugada. I like seeing beautiful plays and just asociación fútbol. You could be a good player individually, but I think it's más bonito cuando hay un, whatever. So all that being said, I just think we're going to win.
1-0, right?
1-0. 1-0. I think
wow.
jugando los dos de una manera y de los últimos minutos va a meter gol León y Cruz Azul won't come back with that pressure. It will be too much for them. Like they'll probably score like on the 75th or something, de un contragolpe, and you're going to see them fall apart. Yeah.
Damn. You stole my prediction from the regular season. In the regular season, I said we were going to beat them 1-0 over there, and we did up to like
we should have.
Yeah, we should have. We did up to like the 80th minute, and then we gave up 2 goals. Anyways, for this game, yeah, man, it's going to be one of those games where like neither team wants to lose. Both teams are defending. This is how liguillas are played, right? Remember Nacho Ambriz? Like people would criticize him because no sabía jugar liguillas because he was always attacking, always looking to up his lead, but like he didn't know how to play liguillas. And I think that's going to be something that Renato Paiva is not ready for yet. I don't think he's ready to play liguillas, and he doesn't know how to defender liguillas yet. So I think it's going to be 2-1 us. We're going to slip out of there with a 2-1 win. But
no
it's
matter
going to
what,
be
we got
a very close game. But it's going to be a very close game. Anyone's game, really. I mean, it's going to be like 1-1, and then somehow last minute golazo de Barreiro.
Oh man, I need like a cigarette. Yeah, golazo de Barreiro. He's gonna be like, he's gonna look at the camera. Santander, VAR, anulan eso. Like chill,
Santander.
He's not even.
Santander, by the way, will be officiating the Puebla Chivas game, which I thought was very interesting.
Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
I mean, that is his team, right? I know Regios accused him of being un chivista because of that game. That's a final. But all that being said, I don't get it. Lo están premiando todavía. Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, anything else before we get out of here? We're about to hit 1 hour.
Just want to make a quick comment. The Leagues Cup, the new and improved expanded Leagues Cup format came out today. The details, no real surprises. It's
say very long though, right?
Well, I mean, it's going to be very long. It's it's involving every single team from both MLS and Liga MX. So imagine how extensive that format's going to be. And I've been seeing a lot of hate for it, saying, "Oh, this is just a money grab, and Mexican teams don't benefit. They just get squeezed out for every cent that they can bring in." And I advise people to chill out on the hate.
Look, it's an opportunity because I'm pretty sure European teams want some of that like money in the US, in their tours. I'm pretty sure.
I think people are just they fear change, and they no matter what the format is, no matter how it is, even if all the games were played in Mexico, there were just going to be a bunch of people who weren't going to like this. That's just whatever. They're gonna find a way to find fault with it, and I'm just like, look. First of all, who didn't see this coming? First of all, second of all, the Liga MX clubs are getting their cut. It's not like they're not getting their cut. There's no way they would participate in this if they weren't.
They're getting plenty of cut.
They're getting plenty of cut. Third of all, yes, none of the games will be played in Liga MX stadiums. I get that as a concern for some people, but look. Liga MX is the most followed soccer league in the United States, more than MLS, more than EPL. Like, it is the most followed soccer league in the United States. But be that as it may, most of the fans don't get to see Liga MX clubs play official matches. They get to see 2 or 3 CONCACAF Champions League games a year, and in maybe 2 or 3 different cities, and that's it. This is going to completely blow the roof off of that. Like that, it's going to be a bunch of different cities. It's going to be many games.
It's crazy.
And this is coming from somebody who lives in Mexico, would love to see the games played in Mexico, but I also recognize
but you have
that there's
perspective, Louis, because you have the both perspective. And I mean, I want to cut you off, but just I want to interject a little quick, because you're right. People of Mexico need to understand. I live in Salt Lake City. Aquí viene Chivas, whatever, y se llena el estadio. Why? I don't.
Even if it's just a friendly.
Yeah, it's a friendly.
Even if it's just a meaningless friendly. Yeah.
If you take like a I don't know, like Bravos, and they're not gonna llenar el estadio.
No.
That's just the reality of the economics of both situations. There's just money in this country, and if it's a surprise for people, and also surprised that this was eventually going to happen, since 1994 was the beginning que la selección empezó a jugar partidos in the United States. And the fact that they're away, el partido de despedida de la selección mexicana was played in the United States. And you know what I mean? Like, it used to be in Mexico, but that's the thing. I feel like also another thing maybe you should realize that the people over here, now I'm not talking because we live over here, but it's just that over here, they just miss their country so much. And anything that just reminds them of Mexico, whether it even be a team that's not even your team, but, it's going to bring a fiesta to your city, the before the game, the cookout or whatever, that's what the people want to see. And that's what the people over here, they work. And like me, I work a lot of times, and I just want to go to any sports events. I was telling you guys, I wanted to go today to a random freaking NHL game, preseason NHL game with the LA Kings and the the Las Vegas Knights. Anything I can get my hands on when it comes to sports in a city where we don't really get, that's what they need to understand. There's money, a lot of money here, and an opportunity for the Liga. Think about this. This cut for the Liga is going to go to the teams, and it's going to probably go directly to something if, they're not corrupt about it. It's going to go into something.
If you ask me, I'd rather have our team making dollars, right?
Yeah.
In the U.S. instead of pesos.
Think about this. Liga, MLS could have chose. They're gonna make this tournament with probably European teams. They could have done this format of how long it is with probably, because I know a lot of European teams, they keep coming to the United States because they know it's
happening more and more.
Yeah.
Some of the backlash wasn't just about the location, but it was also about like the rules that they implemented. There's a new rule where after 90 minutes, if there's a tie, each team gets 1 point. And then
there's a PK shootout for an additional point.
A penalty shootout, and the winner gets an extra point.
That's a little strange. I'll admit that's a little strange. But the hate that I was seeing was about how should fans of Mexican teams be invested in this at all if none of it is being played in Mexico? I'm like, look,
there's
man,
Mexicans in the United States. That's
first of all, there are 3 Conca Champions spots on the line out of this tournament. I think that's reason enough to watch it. There's enough on the line just from that. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Okay, so this is new. So now, el campeón de campeones, I imagine, will be the one direct to, and then.
No. So the CONCACAF Champions League is going to expand. So you're still going to get the qualification that you always had.
It's going to be 7.
But you're going to get 3 additional spots that can be claimed either by Liga MX or MLS clubs, which I think is pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool.
It's always 4-4. Well, sometimes when you count the Canadian team, it's 5-4, right? But this way it could be a like, if whoever does better in this Leagues Cup, which is a direct competition between 2 leagues, will get the advantage of how many more teams it will get in a Conca Champions, which could win a Conca Champions for their nation. And that's been a big thing.
Yeah.
Also, just in the bare bones sense, come on, guys, think about it. If you were a fan of an MLS or a Liga MX club, how cool if you don't think that's a cool thing that your team is the last standing after an officially sanctioned FIFA tournament, an officially sanctioned FIFA knockout tournament. If you don't think that it's a cool thing for your team, your Liga MX or MLS club, to be the last standing out of every single team in both competitions, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think that is a cool thing.
You know what? What's going to happen? So let's put it in this perspective. When we have this tournament, La Liga Mexicana, it's in everybody's mouth and mind that consume Liga Mexicana. If these two, if León wants to be campeón of this next League's Cup, I'm pretty sure here in Salt Lake City, because their team participated, they're gonna really know more about. It's like we're both gonna know more about other teams. It's just natural. Just how we, like, when we have these podcasts and like, what do you think about Monterrey? Like we know everything. We're gonna be more familiar with these other MLS teams, and there's every year I think there's an expansion team. I feel like Austin. I don't really know much about Austin. I think they're playing good as far as I know. I don't know. I know they have a whole thing going on in that city, but it's imagine like un equipo regio juega ahí, and it's just I don't know why there's hate. Like if there's an opportunity for there to be competition, we don't have Libertadores. That's another thing. Like I'm not saying MLS is the key, but like to grow. But I mean, it's better than just playing, the regular Conca Champions format.
Yeah.
Look, they're complaining now, but I think once this gets underway, everybody's going to get into it. That
Everybody
is my
complains, man. People complain when we changed the rules in 1996 about how when you used to win, it was 2 points, and they're like, no, when you win, it's 3 points. And they're like, what? It doesn't make any sense. And now look at us.
Especially like if Leon makes the final, imagine that again. And we all meet up in Vegas again. That'd be so amazing.
And it's gonna be against LAFC because I feel that's gonna be our biggest rival ever in MLS.
Just to live that moment.
Like LAFC. Let it be known, LAFC. We'll never forget that day.
All right, guys, let's get on out of here. If you guys don't have anything else, we're gonna go ahead and jump on out of here. Everyone who joined us, man, thanks for joining us. Chat was a little quiet today, but hopefully next time we'll have a few
Shout out to my homie Uriel here in Utah, here in Salt Lake City. He goes for CRUZ AZUL. It's gonna be very sad seeing you this Saturday. Cry, buddy. It's very, very sad. I love you anyway. Arriba la fiera. Papa Leo.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right, guys.
Cheers.
Let's get out of here.
Peace.